got good mining news for you, regardless of what side of the aisle you are with it. Everybody made a lot of money in Q1 of 2021, at least the companies we're going to talk about today, and Stadia finally gets a very basic feature that you would expect a product from Google would have had ages ago. Let's get into the hot news, my friends. I'm your host, Brett. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news that I could find on the internet, starting off with a lot of mining news. This is going to be a mining loaded upfront version of hot news, so get your mining hats ready, your hard hats, slap on those construction helmets, friends. Grab your pickaxes and let's just dive deep into the caves, because it turns out that there's a lot of mining stuff that you should either be worried about if you are somebody who wants to get your hands on hardware, or if you're excited about mining, you should be very happy because there are new coins that are coming out. The specific one we're going to be talking about right now is known as Chia, which is causing hard drive prices to skyrocket in Asia because companies are just buying up a whole bunch of them. This is coming from a report from the Time Finance outlet in China, just stating that it looks like mining farms are purchasing all of these hard drives. But there is some indication that that might not necessarily be happening, according to the report itself, where they talked to several sources, some people saying that it's companies like Western Digital and Seagate who are actually holding back the stuff they've already produced because they don't want to create an issue. Other reports are saying that it's happening midstream with the distributors and agents. It's not quite clear what's going on, but prices are going up and companies are responding to it. Galax saying that if they find that in the aftermath of you submitting an SSD for a warranty claim and they found out that you were mining Chia with it, they are not going to honor that warranty. It's intriguing because mining Chia is very different than mining with a traditional GPU focused algorithm, because it plots time and space where it creates 101 gigabyte plots, and it appears that you would need a multi-terabyte drive to do this in the first place, so lower capacity drives might not necessarily be as effective, but companies such as AData are seeing a 500% increase in high capacity SSD sales because of this mining rush that's happening. You'll need at least 2 terabytes, but the key thing to note here is that while all of this price hikes are going up, these companies are making tons of money and they're responding to you not being able to get your warranty claim for mining it, the coin isn't even able to be traded as of right now. That doesn't debut until May 3rd. So you have about a week left until the floodgates open, and then if the coin is actually worth anything, we might see all of this shortage come to the US and the Western markets, because currently it is only happening in Asia. It's really hard to forecast what's going on here, but what's going on in the Asian markets might predict what might be coming to the rest of the world, especially once the coin opens, which is just crazy. There's such a everybody's trying to make it to the next gold rush that they just fly off the shelves and buy whatever they can, hoping it's the next crypto boom. It's crazy, which is part of this motherboard that has been announced, which can support up to 32 SSDs via their SATA ports on this motherboard. So just check out this crypto Chia mining motherboard. This is a long boy. This is like Longcat, but in motherboard form. It's the mother Longcat board. Don't like that. 32 SATA ports for your M.2 SSDs, Intel B365 chipset, and this also got PCI Express 3.0 support. You can have a total of 448 terabytes of SSD storage on this thing. Just crazy for the mining setup. People just trying to make a lot of money, but with today's episode sponsor of Hot News, you can save a lot of money. My friends, today's episode of Hot News is brought to you by Honey. In case you haven't heard of them before, they are the online shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes that allow you to save money on your favorite websites. Adding Honey to your web browser makes the online shopping experience much more exciting, because when they find a coupon code, they save on average of 18%, and they have over 100,000 5-star Google reviews. I've recommended Honey to my family, where they've saved hundreds of dollars on photo prints they need to get done. I saved plenty of money on Newegg right before coming on this trip by using Honey. I no longer have buyer's remorse when I find out there was a promo code after the fact that I should have applied while I was doing it at checkout, because Honey saves my bacon with with that. You should join the millions that are already saving. You can go to the link in the video description, joinhoney.com/hot news to save you money by using our link. They're not asking you to pay for anything, which is amazing. Again, that's joinhoney.com/hot news. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode. I did say at the beginning of this episode that I had mining news for everybody, so let's talk about some good GPU mining news, at least as far as availability and making it so that there's enough to go around for everyone. Bitmain has announced their new Antminer E9 Ethereum ASIC, which has the performance of 32 RTX 3080s, which is just absolutely massive. 3 gigahashes, 2,500 watts. This is gonna pull a lot of power. It's not yet known the release date or the price. However, as ASICs roll out, they do tend to make it so that GPUs become less useful in all of this. Releasing one ASIC that can replace 32 of one of the most popular cards for mining should be good news for the availability of cards that are going towards miners at this point. But the unfortunate truth that Ethereum ASICs aren't really as catastrophically devastating to the mining availability as previous ASICs have been. The Ethereum ASICs are good, but they're not usually like thousands of times better. As you can see, it's only 30 times better, which a lot of companies, if they already have RTX 3080s, wouldn't replace things with. But that's where Nvidia steps in. More good news, because it turns out that Nvidia is now sending out their RTX 30 series light hash rate editions, which according to reports are essentially what the RTX 3060 is, just a poor performer in Ethereum mining, but now stretched across the entire product lineup, except for the RTX 3090, because nobody's really buying that for mining because it's $1,500 and it's absolutely absurd. So this light hash rate edition is not going to be a marketing thing. This is just so Nvidia can internally differentiate the products as it's shipping out to its board partners, and they're going to start sending those out. Allegedly, the board partners are going to start receiving these chips in May, and customers would likely start picking these up in June, which will then create this weird feedback loop in the used card market where people will be differentiating, hey, it's post June 2022 RTX 3080 or pre-June 2021 3080 to just differentiate what value the card actually has on the open market to miners or not. But that's the end of the mining news for right now, sort of. We're going to talk about AMD's financial report, and it's a lot. They made a lot of money. They are up 6% on revenue, 9% on gross profit, bringing almost $1.6 billion in gross profit. Their net income, however, and earnings per share is down 69%. Sad nice. However, with the earnings report, Lisa Su did mention that the RX 6000 mobile GPUs are still on track for Q2, which is, I guess, good news because they were supposed to launch in first half, and we haven't really seen a report of what laptops they're coming out to. So if they're making that deadline, time's a ticking. And with all that money that AMD's made, they don't need to release any new products. I mean, honestly, they're doing just fine as it is, and that's what they're gonna do according to a new report from Red Gaming Tech, that AMD might not have any new CPUs coming out in 2021, and the idea that they may have scrapped an entire refresh altogether. The Zen 3 Plus refresh just being dropped in favor of moving straight to Zen 4 next year in 2022, especially moving on to the AM5 socket with DDR5. Maybe even PCI Express 5. That could be what's coming in our future in 2022. It's hard to say. And it's hard to say what's going on with crypto. I lied, it's not the end of the mining update. Although Bitcoin pricing, let's get into the GameStop Bitcoin update. Bitcoin stayed flat, $55,000. Not much happened, down 0.47%. The same with GameStop. It was up 0.7%. It's down slightly after hours. It's hovering around 180. All these markets we talk about are flat, just like my monotone voice. Just gonna talk like this for the rest of the episode. How's that sound? It doesn't sound very good to me. And Fortnite being on xCloud doesn't sound very good to Epic Games either. This is being reported through the lawsuit that's going on between Epic Games and Apple, them disclosing that they actually don't want Fortnite on xCloud because it competes with their PC offerings. The idea essentially being that things like GeForce Now don't take any of the revenue that happens with Fortnite when people buy V-Bucks, but on xCloud, Microsoft has to have it go through their store, so they're taking a cut of the revenue, and Epic Games doesn't like when companies take a cut of their revenue. They want all of the money, regardless of the fact that you're providing the platform for them to do it on. And we also got to note that iOS, which is the whole thing that started this huge thing, Apple versus Epic Games, is not even one of the major revenue sources for Fortnite. PlayStation is the top revenue source, coming in at 46.8% of Fortnite's total revenues between March 2018 and July 2020. Xbox One was the second, and then iOS was fifth, which is 7% of the total revenue. So Epic Games can afford to fight this fight because they're only losing 7% of their revenue by having Apple strip Fortnite from their store. It makes a lot of sense. Kids playing on their iPhones don't necessarily have access to daddy's credit card in order to buy the V-Bucks. I get it. And Microsoft can afford a whole lot more. They can afford to not have Fortnite on xCloud because they have new reports coming out of their revenue is up huge, 50% year on year for gaming revenue, 34% year on year for content and services, and hardware was up 232%. That obviously makes a whole lot of sense because the Series S and Series X were launched in 2020, so their money going, people not buying the Xbox One generation because they were waiting for the new ones. And Sony shipped out a heckin' lot of PlayStation 5, 7.8 million PS5s since launch, 4.5 million being sold in 2020, with the console only launching on November 12th. Just a huge amount. They made a lot of money. They also announced that they're up roughly 15% on PS Plus subscribers, and they used a basic Microsoft Excel chart to show you that they're making millions and millions of yen above previous levels. Sony continuing to just make tons of cash, but they're not going to be making any more PS5s, even though they're selling a record amount. The shortages are not likely to end. They likely will be able to ship out more PS5s this year than the PS4's second year, so they're going to beat that, but they're not going to be able to alleviate all of this constriction that's going on in the market. But Google is alleviating the constriction of Stadia by finally giving it, wait for it, a damn search bar after 526 days. You know, a product from Google, the entire company that founded itself on search, couldn't bring a search bar to its game platform. I talked about this in my 1-year review of Stadia Pro after I had it for a while, and now it's finally out. My goodness. A year and a half, Google, to bring search to your own thing. And you wonder why nobody's using it. People might be using these laptops, I'm not quite sure. The Samsung Galaxy Books have been announced, especially with the RTX 3050 Ti. Samsung announcing that in their event yesterday, as well as some Galaxy Book Pros, which are going to have AMOLED displays. We'll leave links in the video description for you to find out all the full details of the laptops that Samsung announced. And it's been announced that there's a new Sailor Moon movie. I didn't realize they were still making this, but June 3rd, you're getting a new Sailor Moon movie on Netflix. Who knew? And if that's not your flavor of anime, you might be able to watch something different on your HTC Vive, because they're partnering up with Bandai Namco to bring VR to their storefront so that you can have it on the Vive port, which doesn't just apply to HTC Vive, it's other VR devices. Some more VR anime coming to you. And no more hot news coming to you right now. There's going to be a second episode later today, so get subscribed for that. You can also check out that video I mentioned of Google Stadia, my 1-year review. I canceled the subscription, spoiler alert, but you should definitely check it out, and just how incompetent they are. See you in the second episode, friends. Cheers.